Hey there, everybody. I know it's late, but I haven't done my story for a couple of days, and I've been a bit busy. But I wanted to give you another story time. How about that? And this story, this is an awesome story. I love this story. So, this is one of my favorite stories. It's about 10 cow, called the 10 Cow Wives. 10 Cow Wife. That's it. Okay, so it goes as follows. On this little Polynesian island, this young man named Johnny grew up on this island, and he really, really liked this girl, and he wanted to, that's who he wanted to marry when he grew up. Well, as he got older, he left the island and he made a name for himself. He became a very, very successful salesman. I mean, he was one of those kind of, those salesmen that could sell ice to Eskimos. He was one of them. So he was a very savvy salesman. And so he came back to the island. And when he moved back, he was letting it be known that he wanted to get married to the young lady that he knew when he was a kid. Well, the tradition on the island was that when the young man wanted to get married, he would go to the father, and he would offer the father X amount of cows for the wife, for the daughter, so that, he could take him so she would become his new wife. Well, okay, so about four or five cows is average, about average for a wife. Now, an exceptional wife, one that was skilled and graceful and just very beautiful, she was between around eight or nine cows. That was, really a high society young lady who was very refined and everyone respected her. She was all of that. So here goes the young lady that Johnny wanted to marry. However, she was really quiet and withdrawn. She wasn't extra pretty. Matter of fact, she got talked about a lot. And it was to the point that, when her dad knew that Johnny wanted to marry her, he was like, well, shoot, if this man offers me one cow for this girl, I'm going to take it, because I don't think nobody else wants her. I doubt she'll ever get married. He offers me one cow, I'm taking it. So here comes Johnny and by the way, the other thing that would happen is, once the young ladies got married, they'd meet up at wherever, and, oh yeah, well, my husband paid 5 cows for me. Well, mine paid 6 for me. I don't know who you think you are, and so, let me hurry up. So, Johnny comes to the meeting. He got Daddy and the town elders are all there. And Johnny says, I want to marry your daughter. I think her name, we're going to call her Grace. I want to marry Grace. He says, okay. What do you offer? He says, I'm going to offer you 10 cows for Grace. 10? 10? Well, yeah. Okay, yeah. And everybody was astonished. He's going to pay 10 cows for Grace? Daddy was going to be glad to give 1 cow for Grace. So, yeah. So, this successful salesman became kind of a laughingstock, because no one thought that, they thought he got a really bad bargain. And the thing is, that's the way it was. So some years later, a stranger came to the island and they started talking. People would talk to him, and he heard about Johnny and how he had made such a bad deal for this wife. So he wanted to go and see this wife who was actually a 1-cow wife that he paid 10 cows for. And so he went out to visit, and Johnny welcomed him in, and the man was looking around for this woman, who was, this little homely little woman that, a little self-conscious thing. But he saw this one lady walking through the house. She was tall, elegant. Her hair was very nicely combed. She stood tall and erect and just graceful, as he saw her walking through the house. And he was like, well, so he sat there and he talked to Johnny for a little while. And he said, well, where's your wife? He said, that's her right there. He said, well, you got another wife? No, it's just the one. Well, I thought, he said, yeah, I know what you thought. I know what they said. I know what everybody said. They said she was only a 1-cow wife, but I wanted a 10-cow wife. So I paid 10 cows for her. And she is a 10-cow wife. She became the woman that he had anticipated, that he knew she could be. The thing I use this story for, let me tell you something. In Johnny's eyes, she was always a 10-cow wife. Society had told her she was only one. Society had told her that she was worthless, that she wasn't worthy of having a husband. She wasn't worthy of all of the goodness, all the good things that could be bestowed upon her. But Johnny saw her in an entirely different way. What if we stopped and looked at ourselves through Christ's eyes, through the eyes of God? Not how society says we are, not who society says we are, not who our family says we are. But if we ever stop and look at ourselves through God's eyes, when he says we are wonderfully, fearfully and wonderfully made, we are made in his image. And think about it. God didn't pay 10 cows for us. He paid with his life. He sent his son, and his son paid with his life for us. How precious are we in his sight, really? How valuable are we in God's eyes? If you ever stop and just think about just how precious we really are, we would start walking differently, and we would start behaving differently because we are different. Amen? Amen. I hope you get something out of the story. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.